Now, I'm not going to lie. After game two, I wasn't even really prompted to make a video because game two was so much of game one, just times two, that it didn't even really make much sense for me personally to come out here and tell you, oh, Giannis needs more help. Chris Middleton needs to play better. Drew Holiday needs to play better. The Suns are great at home. It was everything that I would have told you, the exact same thing from game one. So I didn't even bother making a video on it. And me personally, I needed to see game three before I decided if I was going to make any more videos about this series, because honestly, if Phoenix came out yesterday and was able to dominate again and were to win game three and go down 3-0, you probably would not have seen another video until they clinched the series, honestly, because there would have been no point. It would have been 3 games of the exact same thing. But fortunately for us, that's not what we got. So, game three was last night. You know what I'm saying? If you guys saw the game, you guys saw that Milwaukee was able to come away with a big 20-point dub. Let's see, it's a lot really to talk about when it comes to this, because if you watch the game, for me personally, it seemed like we were headed towards a sweep. Honestly, it seemed like we were headed towards the exact same thing as game one and game two, where Milwaukee jumps out to this big lead in the first half, and then the second half, the better team just comes out and makes a run, and they end up winning the game. But that's not what we got this time. So I guess we'll start with the Suns, because there really isn't much to say about the Suns. The Suns came out and they just played like shit the entire game. Devin Booker had a bad game. Mikal Bridges wasn't able to keep his streak going from last game. The best player on the floor was honestly Jay Crowder, and the second best player after that was Cam Johnson. And if those are going to be your top two players in a finals game, then you can go ahead and just chalk up an L on the scoreboard. But DeAndre Ayton had a rough game. You know what I'm saying? It seemed like he was prompted. Not probably. It seemed like he was actually on his way to having a big game, probably like a 20-20 game, but he ended up getting into foul trouble, and that ended up just derailing all of that. It was just a bad game overall for Phoenix. It seemed like they came out low energy, and then by the time they were able to find their footing in the game, there just wasn't enough game for them to really come back and do anything with. If anything, if you've been watching Milwaukee at all this year, you know that when Milwaukee gets up by a good amount of points, they're a very good team when it comes to holding the lead. It's just that their issue is always going to be Giannis. And I know it's hard to call Giannis an issue when he's coming off of 2 40-point finals games. But if you look at game 2 compared to game 3, I guess we're going to talk about the Bucks now, because I said everything I had to say about the Suns. If you look at game 2 to game 3, Giannis played really the exact same game. There's really no real difference, except between game 2 to game 3, Coach Bud had the great idea finally to take the ball out of Giannis's hands and let him just be more of a catch and shoot, or, you know what I'm saying, catch and lay in kind of guy. Instead of a guy who's trying to come up at the top of the key and do between the legs dribbles and crossovers to get to the rim where everybody can just laser focus their eyes on him, Coach Bud decided, hey, let me actually use Giannis as a pick setter and a roll man. That way, if he catches the ball, by the time he catches, he's already in a position where he can go straight up. And if they're going to foul him, they're going to be fouling him 5 foot from the rim. And it was just a game where Giannis decided that, hey, I am an NBA player. I can't shoot free throws today. And he was able to come down and knock in over 70% of his free throws. But the fact that Coach Bud finally was able to get the ball out of Giannis's hands is great, because if you ask me, that's why they lost game 2. They didn't lose. They lost game 2, yes, because nobody else was making shots. They lost game 2 because it was just Giannis by himself, Giannis against the world, all that other stuff. But if you look at the game, by the time Giannis was taking over, Giannis was taking the ball at the top of the key and just going one-on-one and making buckets. Honestly, he would come through with a layup, come through post fade, come through off 1 foot like he's Dirk shot, and he did that over the course of the game. But that's not going to win you a game over the long course of 4 quarters, because after a while, if a team knows that, okay, this team's main source of beating us is going to be layups and free throws, if we shoot even remotely good from the 3-point line, we're giving ourselves a very good chance to win. And that's what happened in game 2. Giannis was unstoppable from 2. The Suns were unstoppable from 3. The Suns won. In game 3, Giannis was unstoppable from 2. You also had Chris Middleton come in and give you some big quality buckets, big quality. He came out and did Game 3 Chris Middleton things and showed to everybody that he's the best player of all time. Game 3, Chris Middleton is up there with Untucked Kyrie, Gang Sign John Wall, you know who I am, Kevin Durant, all of those niggas, you got to throw in Game 3 Chris Middleton, Game 6 Clay. You got to throw all them into one book, because once those players, when they get into that zone, once they get into that rhythm, they are virtually unstoppable, and we saw that again with our good friend Cash Money Chris. My boy Drew finally came through and had the game that I was expecting, and it was a situation where they finally got the ball out of Giannis's hands, gave Drew the ability to do more than just have to be a catch and shoot player, or do more than have to be a catch and drive player. They got him involved in pick and rolls, let him be a decision maker, let him find a couple of shots, and then once Drew Holiday got going in that third quarter, it was over. Honestly, it looked to me very much that Phoenix was on their way to taking over this game in the third quarter. Cam Johnson came out hitting big shots. Chris Paul was out there hitting big shots. If they were able to get anything from Devin Booker, and if Drew Holiday did not come out and hit those 2 or 3 threes that hit in the third quarter, we're probably having a whole new conversation. The Suns are up 3-0 right now. But no, Chris I keep saying Chris Middleton. Drew Holiday was able to have those threes to stave off the run, and at the end of the day, Phoenix just did not have enough to come through and beat Giannis, and that's just what it is. Going forward though, I don't see. I'm not gonna say that this game was an anomaly, because I completely believe that Milwaukee is capable of coming through and giving you another game like this. But I feel like if your game plan is to expect Chris Paul, oh my God, I keep getting the names fucked up. If your game plan is to have Devin Booker come through and score 10 points and shoot 21% from the field, and for Phoenix to only hit 9 threes, 6 of them coming from Jay Crowder, then yeah, you probably have a very good chance of repeating that performance. But I personally do not see a situation where Devin Booker has a game like that. Devin Booker will be back next game, hitting his mid-range shots, getting his spot on the floor. Because if you look at the game, and I actually made a tweet about this, Devin Booker's bad games actually remind me a lot of Kobe's. Now, I'm not really somebody who's been really big on the Devin Booker to Kobe comparison, because outside of Devin Booker being Kobe's role model, and outside of them both being mid-range shooters, they really don't have that many similarities in the game. Kobe's footwork is way better. Kobe's post game is way better. Yeah, so it's not quite the exact same thing, but I get where people get the comparison to. But I will say their bad games are very similar in the aspect that both of their bad games, they're still getting to their spot. They're getting to the exact same spots that they would get to in a game where they dropped 40 or 50. It's just that the shots just aren't falling. And the thing is that the sign of that you're actually that you're shooting the ball right and you're just kind of offline, is the fact that Devin Booker shoots it and the ball comes off the rim so many different times. It comes off and it bounces off the rim a couple times. It's not like he's going up there and he's shooting too hard and he's shooting bricks or he's shooting air balls. It's like, no, if they're on target, they're just missing. You know what I'm saying? And so the best thing about Kobe is that once Kobe had a bad game like that, he was able to bounce back. And I personally, these playoffs, have not seen Devin Booker come through and give you 2 stinkers in a row. Mikal Bridges gave you a stinker, so he's due to come through and play some solid basketball. If Jay Crowder keeps doing what he did the last game, he's able to just give you maybe not 6 threes, he's able to give you 3 or 4 threes or 2 or 3 threes. You will definitely take that. And Phoenix definitely should not be panicked at all after this loss, because they were due for a bad game. If you think about it, their last bad game was in the Clippers series. That was their last bad game. But no, this is just a situation where they came out flat, came out no energy, and the home team was able to use that home energy to lead them to a win. Crazy thing is, I feel like Milwaukee definitely would have lost this game if this game was played either in Phoenix or in a neutral site, because once Phoenix was able to go on that little run in the third quarter, it was the fact that every time they were able to make a 2-pointer, the crowd was going crazy. The crowd was going nuts. If that happens anywhere else, if that happens in the bubble last year, if that happens in Phoenix at all, you make a 2-pointer, it's quiet, it's hushed, nobody can say anything. That means you have to generate your own energy. And that's a lot harder to do than it is when you're playing with the crazy Milwaukee crowd behind you. I've been to Pfizer Forum. Pfizer Forum gets very loud. When I went for the Sixers Bucks game in the middle of this season, and it was loud as hell. They were only at 50 or 60% capacity back then, but they definitely came out and they support their team. They support and they go crazy for their team. Just like how Phoenix goes crazy, those Milwaukee fans go absolutely wild when it comes to those Milwaukee Bucks. So, yeah, going into Game 4, I just feel like Coach Bud is going to have to make the decision if what we're going to do here is make sure that Giannis does not have the ball in his hands unless he's going up with a jump shot, or if he has a mismatch on either side of the court, then that's going to have to be the game plan for the entire game. And then Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday are just gonna have to. One of them is gonna have to just keep up this momentum. I feel like it's gonna be more so Chris than it is Drew because Chris has been here for longer. But Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday is gonna have to remain consistent for the rest of the series if the Bucks even want remotely a chance to finish this comeback. Going into Game 4, I honestly feel like it's tough. It's a tough. If I had to guess, I would say that my heart's telling me to go for Phoenix. I feel like Phoenix is gonna win Game 4, take the 3-1 lead, because they've been hitting on all cylinders. I just fucking stuttered my ass off. They just been hitting on all cylinders, and then they're gonna be able to bounce back. I expect Devin Booker to have a big game. I expect Chris Paul to keep shooting the ball well like he's been doing. Phoenix shot surprisingly bad from the free throw line last game. So just everything that they did bad last game, I do see them correcting, and I do see them getting a dub at the end of the day. For the Bucks, yeah, the Bucks are just gonna have to kind of hope that their role players keep doing role player things. They play great at home, and they're gonna have to ride that home energy to another dub. We guess only time will tell if that were to happen. So make sure you guys leave a like, comment, all that YouTube stuff, and I will see you guys after Game 4. Let me know in the comments how you guys feel about the series, who you guys got winning in how many games, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.